Viva la France for me yesterday. It was very good. So, how many of you are awake? Awake? How many of you slept later than 3 p.m.? How many of you, because of that, you're sleeping? Okay. If you're sleepy, take coffee downstairs. Okay, later on. Okay? But I'm very excited to be here. God has been so good. And the World Cup is going on, at least, in the midst of the holidays in the Lebaran, we have something to watch there rather than just doing nothing. It's so good to get that. And now we are back to work, and I just feel that at the time that, during this, I was sharing yesterday in the youth that I said that there are quite a lot of times that when we are watching the soccer, we are watching all these things, like there are just some things that comes to my head and inspires me and to share something from the Word because of those experiences they had. And yesterday I shared a message about don't just be a locker room Christian, but be in the field. That message was actually based on I was imagining in my head was that just imagine that when the halftime happened and the other team is out, the other team is not out because they're chilling in the locker room. So it's just basically been like that. But today, this is a special message that it touched me very dearly as I was reading it, and it gave me a lot of insights through this message. So the theme for today's message is called 38 years of meaningless life. 38 years of meaningless life. Now you're wondering, how old is Vasandani? Don't worry, I'm not 38 years old. I am, yes, later on, okay? But I want to read to you guys from the book of John, chapter 5, verse 1 to 9, and then we will jump to verse 14. Alright? It actually says this. Afterward, Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holy days. Now we know that Jesus is returning to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holidays. And please bear in mind there is that word afterward there. So that means something has been done before, now it's afterward, okay? So afterward, Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holidays. Inside the city, near the sheep gate, was the pool of Bethesda with 5 covered porches. Crowd of sick people, blind, lame, or paralyzed lay on the porches. One of the men lying there had been sick for 38 years. When Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, "Would you like to get well?" The answer is, "I can't, sir," the sick man said, "for I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me." Jesus told him that, "Stand up, pick your mat, and walk." Instantly, the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. But this miracle happened on the Sabbath. But afterward, this is verse 14 now, it says, but afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and told him, "Now you are well, so stop sinning, or something even worse may happen to you." All right? So we heard about this person who has been sick for 38 years. All right? He has been on that side of the pool called the Pool of Bethesda. Now, this is very interesting that in the beginning, when it starts off, there is this word afterwards. That means whenever you say the word afterwards and then or something, you need to go before to see what actually happened before this, and now why is this called afterward? Now, we know that in John 4, if you guys read John 4, it actually spoke about that Jesus was healing a dying boy. And he had a long 2 days. He went to Samaria. After in Samaria, he went to Galilee. In Galilee, he healed 2 boys. And after he healed a boy by just saying it. But he was always in a ministry mode during that time. And then it says, and afterward, Jesus went to Jerusalem. So it was not an easy trip. It was a long 2 days because he went from city to city. And Jesus was not resting. Jesus was doing something at all times. So when it says, afterward Jesus went to Jerusalem, now you go to Jerusalem, because there is a holy festival happening in the Jewish Holy Festival. Now, the most common festivals that are there is Passover. There is a Passover, there is Purim, and there is Pentecost. Those are three very famous festivals that are there. So Jesus was there for one of the festivals. And when Jesus came there, he passed through this place called the Sheep Gate. What is the Sheep Gate? Sheep Gate is a gate where, why is it called the Sheep Gate? Because in this gate, you pass, is you see the people, the shepherds, they gather all their sheep, getting them ready, and then they enter, all the sheep with the shepherds, they enter through this gate. So that's why it's called the Sheep's Gate. All right? I've not been to Israel before, but if you have been to Israel, maybe you have passed through the Sheep's Gate before. But what I was intrigued by this is, you know what? Jesus was actually tired when he actually did something. He had a long 2 days. He had been doing stuff, and he was actually tired. But still, when he passed through that, he saw that person, he still did something. And that was like something I was like, Lord, even though you went all your ways, you went that extra mile for that one person. He saw the crowd had been sick people, and he saw that person who was lame for 38 years. For 38 years, this guy has been doing nothing. Just sitting there, doing nothing. Because, they had a belief, a legend in the olden days. They believed that in the pool of Bethesda, they believed that the water will rise up and angels would be in those water. And if suppose somebody goes down to the pool, they will get their healing. And that's what actually they were feeling. They were saying that, that's why they say that better be in the side of the pool Bethesda, because when the water goes up, they can go down and get healed. And I was just wondering, what is this guy doing there for 38 years? 38 years. How many of you are more than 35 here? You're more than 35. All right? So many of you have not even been born for 38 years. So this guy, he has been there for 38 years. I myself am not born yet. I'm not even 38. So for so long, this guy, he has been waiting there. He's lame. He's just been sitting there doing nothing. And I was like, how is it that people could be stuck in the same place? How is it that people in their spiritual life, they could be in the same place, for the same place, they do the same cycle every single time, and every single time, it goes on and on and on and on and on, and you never moved on. It's just that everything seems to be like a routine. The man, I was wondering, maybe the first time when he went to that pool, the man might just come with hope. Ooh, I'm going to be at the side of pool Bethesda. I am going to get my healing. Yay, I'm happy. But then, as time goes by, the hope goes off. As time goes by, the years goes on, his hope diminished. I picture that pool as dreams. I picture that pool as dreams, visions that the Lord has given you, callings, ambitions. But what we have been doing is, we never plunge into the pool. We never did anything. You are so close to that pool, but you did nothing because you love it. You just say, I just better be on the side. And what happened is, you live a meaningless life because you are tired to do something. That's what I felt, that it was like, it dawned on me, it was so clear that how often it is that when we are called to do something, we are already actually quite close to reach it. But what we do is, we choose to stay still. We choose just to keep quiet. We choose not to step on other people's toes because we don't want to shake the boat. We don't want to shake the boat. You're actually so close. But you kept quiet. You start off with a very great excitement for the Lord. Yes, I'm going to do what God tells me to do. I'm going to go all out for God. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to walk with Jesus. I'm going to go for doing something for God. Maybe that's how you start off with your life. That's how you start off when you get saved. That's how you started. But as years and years and years and years it goes on, it seems that, now I go to church on Sunday. It's already good enough. I think it's already nice. I give my tithes quite regularly. I did this, It's good. But, inside your life, the meaning of actually following Jesus is actually diminishing. And when that happens, it's like, as long as the boat is not shaken, as long as I'm not getting hurt, as long as I'm comfortable, I'm sitting in my habitual church chair in the church, I'm sitting there, nobody is taking my seats, I'm cool with it. Happy. And which actually this touch a little bit of what I'm going to speak next week is we started off our life wanting to be the church, but we at the end, because of the excitement that is gone, because the fire starts to diminish, we end up just going to church rather than being the church. That's what happened to this guy I was imagining. 38 years in the pool, side of the pool, lame, couldn't do anything, living in misery. Every time, just self-pity, sympathizing, looking for pity from people, living their life as if they are. It's like whenever people speak to him, he's like, he will just tell me, life is so bad. Have you ever been to people that when you speak to them, it's just that nothing positive ever come out from their mouth? You tell them a sad story, they will tell you even a greater sad stories before that. It goes on and on. Then after that, it's like you're having a competition with this guy of who has the best sad stories ever. It all happens like that. It always happens like that. And this is what I felt, that this person who's in the side of the pool, he's just like, you know what? I think I'm just going to do nothing now. I'm already happy. I can sit by the side of the pool. Maybe he has made friends there. I don't know. He's chilling there. And he chose to live in misery rather than living in the promise. That's how sometimes our journey starts. Our journey starts, we want to live for Jesus, we want to do everything that is good. But when things get tough, we choose, all right, I'm just going to settle in. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to move. I remember how bad it was, how tiring it was before. You know what? Now I'm just going to chill. I'm going to be here. I'm just going to do this thing. I'm just going to do this. That's it. Don't disturb me. Don't tell me to start something new. Don't tell me to change anything, because I don't want to go through any more trials or struggles or challenges or whatever. Just imagine this. If God says, yeah, okay, let thy children just continue to burn sacrifices. Jesus doesn't have to come. He's still just burning sacrifices. You and me would not be saved today if that happened. You and me, we are saved today because our God went out from his comfort zone to save us. He went out from his comfort zone to actually save us. So you can, this life that you say that what I call as meaningless, I find that life that is just so monotonous that you live like as if you have no purpose, as if you stop doing the purpose, you stop living in the vision, you don't want to do anything, you just say, all right, I am just going to do this. Basically, I have my shop, I have my business, I have this, I'm going to put all my things to the business here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm not going to change any timing, okay, this is number one. I'm not going to do any changes ever in my life. Basically, this is what I want to do. Because I'm afraid that if I do stuff, my business will be in jeopardy. My shops will be in jeopardy. My this will be in jeopardy. Oh, my working status in this place will be in jeopardy. We are so scared of all those things. What we do is when we are filled with so much fear like that, you're just being like that lame guy. The guy is lame, by the way. Not lame. I mean, he can't walk. Okay? You're just being like that guy who just lived there for 38 years on the side of the pool. Never fulfilling the dreams that God has for you. Your age today, I do not know how much. Maybe you have been living for those years as meaningless life. Maybe you have not been doing anything about it. Maybe you're so maybe whatever that has related to God is not in your first priority ever in your life. You always think that whatever that feeds me in this world is the number one priority rather than what God has in store for me. Friends, I have news for you. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God. When you seek first the kingdom of God, then all the others shall be added unto you. If you ask yourself, why is it that I live my life and as if it's like I have to continue slog and slog and slog. It's like I'm working so hard for this, for that. Ask yourself this question. Do you put God first in your life? Why am I living in such stress? Why am I living in such uncomfortable times and I feel insecure in everything that I do? Ask this question. Are you putting God first in your life? Are you putting God first in your life? Are you putting God first in your business? Are you putting God first in your family? Are you putting God first when you're with your staff? Are you putting God first when you're with your friends? Because what happened is we feel that all those things in that world that we just mentioned, that are the ones that actually bring security, comfort, that would fill your loneliness. Let me just tell you this. It doesn't fill your loneliness. It doesn't give you security. It will not give you the eternal comfort that you're asking for. The only thing that will give you that comfort, that would actually fill your heart, that would actually bring satisfaction, brings meaning to your life, is when you have Jesus in your life. When Jesus is number one in your life, then you're going to have that. So 38 years, this guy, he continued to live a meaningless life until Jesus comes. Until Jesus comes to see him. Today I want to tell you that you also can get out from this meaningless life. You also can get out from this meaningless life and you can turn it to a life filled with God's given purpose. You also can do that. You don't have to live being stuck in a rut. You don't have to live living your life as if there is nothing else to do. You don't have to live that at your days and numbers, everything that you do is just that you live and then after that you go home and you get depressed. You don't have to live a life like that. You can live a life that is filled with God's purpose and visions. But the question is, are you willing or not? Are you willing or not? Because at the end, Jesus asked that person, do you want to get healed? Actually, the first thing, if you notice that the answers, later on we will discuss more, is it doesn't show that he wants to get healed. But we'll talk that later on. But there are some things that we can learn from this story. What is it that we can learn from this story that to change our life to be better? How is it that we can change our life to be a better person, to be a better child of God, so that we can walk according to his purpose? 3 lessons we can learn from this story to make your life better. Number 1 is this, is the social circle you are in matters a lot. The social circle you are in matters a lot. You know, we go back to verse 2 and 3, it says this, inside the city, near the sheep gate, was the pool of Bethesda. We spoke about it. Now it says, with 5 covered porches, right? porches, 5 segments, all right? There are crowds of sick, people blind, lame, paralyzed. They all lay on the porches. You know something? Misery people will always find misery people. Gossipers will find other gossipers. And what happened? They gossip together. Am I right? You go to church, you find one gossiper, you will find another gossiper. And soon enough, the gossipers will make a table and they'll sit together. Your social circles matters a lot. If you mingle with people who sin, you will end up being a sinner. At all times. If you continuously entertain sin in your life, eventually you will do a sin. Your social circles matters a lot. What happened is, this lame guy, he mingles with lame people. He mingles only with those people who are sick, who every day say, yeah, you know why this water is not stirring? When this stirs water, nobody's there to bring me down there. Every day the story is sad. Churhat, churhat. That's what is happening. We only mingle with people that say, duh, he's in the same pain as you. That's what happened. This is what is happening in our life. Our social circles, it matters a lot. If you are with pessimists, you will always be pessimists. You want to have a different perspective of life? You want to be more positive? Mingle with positive people. You can't expect that you are, I used to be a pessimist person. That's it. I'm going to try to be positive. But yet, at the same time, every single time you heard is only the negative side. Eventually, you will say, there's nothing positive for me. Your social circles, it matters a lot. If you mingle with people that are going to bring you down, you will always going to stay down. If you mingle with people that are always going to brag, eventually, you are always going to brag. If you mingle with people that brings you further from the Lord, eventually, you will be further from the Lord. Friends, can I tell you this? It is easier for you to go down rather than to go up. Hello? It's easier. You tell me to go down the stairs to the lantai dasar, I'll do it. But you tell me to go up, I'll give you a lot of excuses. It's there. It's always easier for you to go down than to go up. So your spiritual life, when things, you get influenced and all these things, it's always going to be easier for you to go down. So you have to be very, very careful with your social circles, on whom you are close to. I'm not saying to you right now, you cannot hang out with your friends that are bringing bad. No, it's just that there are just some friends that you have to take your distance. There are just some friends that you can be close with. Because at the end, this is what is very important for us. See, we tend to make friends because we want to have status. We tend to be friends with these people because, if I'm friends with this person, I'm labeled as cool, I'm labeled as exclusive, I'm labeled as these people. But if this kind of groups are bringing you down, why do you want to get close to them? Your social circles matters. That's why this person never went anywhere. 38 years, he lived a meaningful life. Why? Because the advice that he's getting is from other lame people. The advice he's getting is from other sick people like that. Who is telling them, yeah, you know what? Life is just so bland. I don't have any passion to live. Maybe some of the friends says, it's better off that I die. Everything is so somber and sad. Why? But you try to bring this lame person. If you try, you are having that position and you meet with somebody who is full of life, full of passion. He's going to tell you, hey man, you're not supposed to live like this. Cheer up. God is going to heal you. You're going to make your miracle. You're going to get your breakthrough. You're going to go far. Don't worry. Whatever may go through in your life, Jesus is there with you. That is what happened if you mingle with those different crowds. Be around an environment of people that will influence you to do the will of God. Don't be around in an environment that would influence you to be away from God. Can I be very honest with you? The ones you stayed up all night late every single Saturdays and makes you coming to church drowsy and sleepy, they are not the right company for you. Ouch. Why? Because you're supposed to come to church excitingly. You're supposed to come to church full of life. You're supposed to come to church expecting for what God wants to do in your life. But if you sleep at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're going to come to church sleepy. Hello? I'm going to be very serious. I'm going to be very straight. I know I'm quite blunt in this. But this is the fact. Because you know what? We are not called to go to church. We are called to be the church. This is what happened. When I was growing up, I had to choose with who I want to mingle with. I had to choose with what kind of life I want to have. I have all the choices of what I want to do. I have all the choices. When I was growing up, there were friends of mine that would ask me to go for a drinks at night. And I have to refuse. Why? I have to tell them straight, hey, I have church tomorrow. Sorry. I have to just be straight. Because I have to come to church being awake, not being a zombie. And the friends that you spend most of your time with, your friends that you spend the most of time, it's not for your bragging rights. Your friends that you spend the most with, it should be the friends that would encourage you, that would bring you closer to God. That when things happen, you can go to that person and say, hey, listen, I'm going through this stuff. Can you please pray for me? That is what is very important for us. I choose to associate myself with friends that can bring me closer to God. With friends that when we talk, it's not only musty. I could actually have a chat with my friend. I choose that. I choose so that whenever I meet, I can connect. But you know what? What's the best part? Is the friends that I mingle with, they are all aware that they also have to go to church in the mornings. They are also well aware that they also have to do stuff. They have responsibilities. And they themselves know. And we can be accountable to one another because we surround ourselves with friends that would uplift us. If you are mingle with bad friends, you'll end up being bad. You surround your social circles is lame people, you'll end up being lame. You're trying to get out from smoking, but you mingle with smokers, then you're going to continue to smoke. You want to try to reduce your alcohol, but you mingle with people who drinks only in the bars at all times, then you're going to end up being an alcoholic all the time. You have to start filtering your social circles. Who are you going to be close with? Who are you going to have good friends? And who are you're going to have that friends, but you're going to have your distance with that person. That is very important. Don't be like this lame person, 38 years, sitting doing nothing, chit-chatting. I'm imagining maybe they're playing tarpan, the lamers, I don't know. They're playing there all the time. They've gathered 4 people, they play. On the side, where do they play? In the side of the pool of Bethesda. They did nothing. Second one. What can we learn from this person is verse 5 to 9. It says, I'll read the verse first. It actually says this. One of the men lying there had been sick for 38 years. When Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, "Would you like to get well?" Isn't this a weird question? Would you like to get well? He says. Just imagine that you have been sick for 38 years and somebody asks you, "Do you want to be well?" But you know what's the answer? This is the answer that really surprises me. The lame person says, "I can't, sir." The sick man said, "For I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me." Jesus told him, "Stand up, pick your mat, and walk." Instantly the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. But this miracle happened on the Sabbath. Number two is, what you can learn is, when we dwell in our limitations, we will not be able to see the big picture. When you see yourself only, you will never able to see the big picture. I was like wondering, Jesus never asked this person about his limitations. Jesus simply asked this person, "Do you want to be well?" But his answer is, it's not a yes or no. His answer is, "I can't, sir." The sick man replied, "For I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up." And this was like wondering, Jesus just asked you a yes or no question. Why are you giving excuses? It's a yes or no question. Do you want to get well? Simple. If I ask Jerry, "Do you want KFC?" You don't have to give me the answer, "Oh, I can't because of this." Just say yes or no. Simple, right? But this is something, the same thing. Jesus asked, "Do you want to get well?" And the answer is directly, "I can't, sir," blah, 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 blah. The excuses are all there. You know what? Limitations is equal to excuses. Your limitations, can I tell you, be very straight with you, is equal to excuses. "Oh, do you want to do something for the church?" "I can't." "Well, I don't have time. I'm too busy doing all these things. My friends are not there. The people that I want to do this, it's not there. I'm too tired." We have all the excuses. We can come out with 1,000,000 excuses just to get away from something. Just to get away from something. When you dwell just on your limitations, "Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. You know what? I don't have much time. I have to work from morning till night. I don't have the time to do it." If you are doing so much things in your marketplace, make an impact in your marketplace then. Make an impact in your marketplace. Limitations is equal to excuses. This is what happened. This person who has been sitting, he had lived a meaningless life. When Jesus asked him, "Do you want to get healed?" What does he answer? "Well, I can't." Jesus wants to do something, and your answer is, "I can't." And when Jesus tells you, "Do you want to do this?" Jesus is asking you, Jesus is telling you, "I have called you to do this." And then our answer is, "You know what? I don't think so. I have the skills to do it. I don't think so. I can do that. I don't think so. I can do this." The answer for you is, you know what? What did Jesus do after that? He says, "Say, you get up and take your mat and walk." Because you know why Jesus can say that? Because what Jesus has decreed, what God has decreed, is going to happen in your life. Is going to happen in your life. Limitations, you can put all the limits in your life. You can tell that I can't come to church for this. I can't do this. I can't worship God. I can't wake up in the morning. I can't do my devotions in the morning. I can't do that. Well, do your devotions in the night if you can't do it in the morning. Do your BFT. Do this. Do whatever you need to do. Every reasons you have in the book, it's there. The Bible can tell you that, hey, listen, you can always make time. You have 24 hours a day. You sleep for 8 hours. You work for 8 hours. You have 8 hours left. Your showering and your eating and everything takes 2 hours of your life. That's 18 hours of your life. What happens to the next 6 hours of your life? Is it in television, social media, internet, Instagram story, Instagram movies? Limitations, your limits. I tell you something. I am a big guy. Duh. Right? I'm a big guy. Everybody thinks that because I'm big, I cannot do certain stuff. But I can tell you right now, honestly, all right? Many things, you would be surprised of what I can do. You would be surprised. And you know something? By me, I can do everything just to give an excuse. You know what? I'm big. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do. I cannot do that. I can do all those things. But if I choose to do that, what is going to happen? I'm creating excuses and excuses and excuses. And that excuses will be followed by others. And they will also create excuses and excuses and excuses and excuses. What you do in your life, you create excuses. People are looking at you. And that person will also make excuses. And then others are looking at them. And that person is always going to make excuses. Just like that parable that we saw before the sermon. The parable of the fishing rod, fishing trip. Everybody has an excuse. Oh, I don't have the heart to kill this worm. This worm, it's actually a rubber worm, it says, right? But I don't have the heart. Then after that, other people will come in with another excuses. Every time is million excuses are there. When you get a phone call, hey, can you do this for the church? I'm too scared to do it. I'm too nervous to do it. I can't do this. I can't do that. We give a million excuses for all these things. But what happens is, when you always just dwell on your limitations, you are never going to see the big picture that God has for your life. God has a big picture for your life. All you need is a willing heart. All you need is a willing heart. All you need is, you need to start taking up your mat and start walking and stop being lame. That's just what is needed. A.W. Tozer says this: how completely satisfying to turn from our limitation to a God who has none. How completely satisfying is that? To turn from our limitations to a God who has none. You have limitations? Turn to God. You have this thing? Turn to God. I have this sickness? Turn to God. Because God is going to change all your limitations, and He's going to use your limitations to be your strength. That is what God does. He turned our mournings to dancing, right? It says, He will turn your weaknesses to your strengths. You need to be willing for that. You know, there's a story I was reading around, and I got this story. I'm just going to read it to you guys. It says, 2 years ago, Chris Downey had just started a promising architectural job at a successful design firm. A few weeks after he took the job, he noticed that there was something wrong with his vision, with his eyes. The doctor told him that he had a tumor wrapped around his optic nerves, which required immediate surgery. After the surgery, he could see with blurred sight. 5 days later, everything went dark. Downey had become permanently blind. Downey tried to maintain his architectural work, but he couldn't read the plans or use the design software. Initially, Downey's limitation jeopardized his job until he found a blind computer scientist who had devised a way to read tactile architectural plans. Much to his surprise, Downey discovered that his blindness actually gave him a unique way to observe interior spaces, not with his eyes, but with his fingers. As one of the company vice presidents would later say, at first I thought, okay, this is going to be a limitation, but then I realized that the way he reads drawings is the way we experience space. Downey is now able to use his fingers to walk through a space and view it from a different and sometimes a better perspective. Due to his blindness, he can also envision new possibilities for the creative use of space. As a result, his limitations or weakness have become gifts and strength, not only for himself, but also for his community. You guys see that? What else? An architectural who turned blind, who can't do anything. But at the end, the Lord, his limitations became his strengths. What is it that your limitations are? Is it that it's sometimes very difficult to give time? Make time. It's hard? Well, tell God, Lord, you know what? I want to do this, but Lord, sometimes I just don't have time. Please provide for me the time. You know something? When you pray something like that, I'm sure that God is going to give you the time. God is going to give you the time. You have this vision that you want to do this. The Lord has been calling you to do this, to do something. And He said, God, it's too hard. As long as you lay it out to God and say, Lord, I need your help. You think what, God is going to stay quiet? God is not going to stay quiet. The Lord is always going to be there. Surrender those limitations. Whatever it is, give it to the Lord. Don't make limitation as ways, as tools for excuses so that you can get away from stuff. That is not what it's meant for. But you can always overcome it. You can always overcome it. My favorite keyboardist, pianist that is around is Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. Both of them are blind. But they played so good. They're blind. And this is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it doesn't mean, at our whole body at times, we take it so easy, we take it for granted. But there are people out there who has so much limitations, yet they are excelling way much better than us. Way much better than us. And today I want to tell you this. What is your limitations? Don't dwell in it too long. I can't do it. I have this thing happening. I have that thing happening. I have the projects that I'm doing is a lot. I cannot. My school work is too much. My college work is a lot. I have to do this. I have to do that. How am I supposed to do everything? I can't. I just can't. If you dwell on all those things, you're never going to do anything for the Lord. With God, remember, God is number one. Not ministry is number one, but God is number one. So you have to continue to seek God no matter what. And then the third one of what we can learn is don't go back to your sin. Don't go back to your sin. Verse 14. But afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and told him, now you are well. So stop sinning, or something even worse may happen to you. By the way, if you have a solid Bible that you carry, which is not in the form of computer or phones you're carrying, this is written in red. You know what? When things are written in red in the Bible, that means it's the words of Jesus. Right? It's the words of Jesus. So Jesus is the one who actually says this. Now you are well, so stop sinning, or something even worse may happen to you. So when you mess around, there are so many people that, when they are having their hard times, they come to God. They say, God, if this time you bring me out of these hard times, I'm going to serve you with my whole heart. I'm going to be very diligent to go to church. I'm going to do so much things for you, God. I'm going to share the word. I'm going to sing. I'm going to go all out. I'm going to start giving to the church. I'm going to start doing that. And true enough, the Lord delivers you from your hard times. But after they got delivered, they forget about what they have said to the Lord. They forget what they have said to the Lord. And the Bible is very clear on this. He says that, now you are well. 38 years of your meaningless life is already gone. You don't have to live that life again. Now you can walk. So stop sinning, or something even worse may happen to you. So if you, this is what the Lord is saying to you. You get healed now. Stop doing what you were doing. When you were going through hard times, you prayed and you got healed. You did it. You managed to get out from that position. But don't go back and start living your old lifestyle again. Don't go back there. And the Bible is very clear that if you do that, if you only remember God during the bad times, and then when it's good time, it's kind of, oh, I do la church nature rajala. All those things, something worse may happen to you. It's not Anand who's saying this, it's Jesus saying this. So don't go back to your sin. Don't go back to your old ways. When you have gone out from your old ways, make sure that you stay out. God is not a puppet or a wishing well that you can only say, yeah, God, if you do this, God, I'm going to surely do this. Then after that, when these things happen, you forget Him. No, that's not the way it is. It doesn't work that way. You have to remember at all times that everything comes from Jesus, everything comes from God, and God alone. When you have been set free, don't repeat the sins that you have done. Only a dog that goes back to its own vomit. That is what the Bible says. Don't let us go back there. He expects you to live as a new creation. That's why it's very important of what you're saying. That's why it's very important that when you promise something to somebody, that's why the Bible says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. This is what God is trying to tell you guys. I do not know what you have said or some things that you have done, but all I'm trying to tell you is this. No matter what, even how our God is full of grace, but don't ever take advantage of the grace that God has given. Don't ever take advantage of the salvation that you have received. Don't ever say, oh, now I'm saved. I have already prayed the sinner's prayer. I'm going to live my life the way I am going to do, because anyway, when I die, I'm still going to go to heaven anyway. Yo, the Bible says, work out your salvation. Work out your salvation. So, Jesus is telling you right now, you are well. So now stop sinning. Stop sinning. Don't go back there. God is going to change your life. I don't want you to live a meaningless life. I don't want you to end up being like this lame person who lived for 38 years doing nothing, just being at the side of the pool of Bethesda, just like that. Your vision is so close, your dreams are that close, but you just choose not to do it. You can't do it. Why? Because your social circles are the ones that is pulling you back. Don't let that happen to you. Don't let your limitations hold you back. And don't ever go back to your old way of living. Because the Lord has paid an expensive price for you to have a new creation, to be a new creation. Man, can we all rise to your feet? I'm going to invite the worship team to come forward. दाता मिट जाएगा हम सब का गम मेरा ये मन है प्यासा ओ जीवन जल